we need to talk. I know I've been saying forever now that I'm going to start a channel. I know I even started a channel at one point. I have reasons for these things, guys. So many reasons, so many excuses. And I'm going to tell them all to you right here, right now. You and I, for the next, hopefully 20, 25 minutes, I'm going to try so hard to tell this story to the point. I have notes. I'm also going to be doing my eyeshadow while I'm telling this story because I talk a lot with my hands. I'm going to do my eye makeup, tell my story. I'm going to talk about a few people in this video. I want to give a disclaimer, okay, before people come for me. The people that I'm talking about in this video are no longer in my life. I have no hard feelings. I have no feelings really whatsoever. I just don't care anymore. I'm going to switch the names up. I'm sorry, if you see me like looking down here, it's because I have a monitor here, because I'm filming alone. If you see me looking over here, it's because I have a This video is just supposed to be lighthearted. I don't want anyone to take offense to this. If you know the people that I'm talking about in this video, then you know. If you don't know the people I'm talking about in this video, don't try to dig for information. I'm just telling you about like how I started a channel. I think it was like 5 years ago at this point. Ew. I uploaded my first YouTube video January 27th, 2014. So literally almost 5 years ago exactly. Depending on when I post this, I hope to God I post this before January 27th. If I don't post this before January 27th, just cancel me. Just don't subscribe. Just I'm done. I have like a little bit of a funny story. I thought it could be a nice little icebreaker. We could get to know each other. You could see how much of a lunatic I am, and I can explain why I failed at YouTube the first time and why I'm coming back and why I'm trying again. So if you would like to know how I failed at YouTube, just keep watching. Backstory. I met a guy. I have to come up with a name for him. I need to call him Ben. So I met Ben. And when I met Ben, he really had his shit together. We started dating and we moved very fast. Him and I both lived about an hour from our jobs. See, I'm already getting distracted, people. I know this. I know how I am. Oh, it's 11:11. Make a wish. Are you kidding? Did you make a wish? Well, I guess by the time you're watching this, it's probably not 11:11. Okay, anyway, moving on. Ben. Back to Ben. I met Ben at work. After being together for a little while, we decided that it would just be more beneficial to everyone if we rented a place closer to our jobs. What happened next was definitely not planned. Obviously, this wasn't his fault, and I don't put blame on him for this. But shortly after we moved in together, Ben got laid off. Well, I guess laid off wouldn't really be the word. I guess he got demoted from full-time to part-time. I don't really know what happened after he got laid off, but he just was like so miserable, so depressed, didn't ever wanted to go to work because he wasn't happy at work. So then when he would work, he would just sign EO. He just didn't want to be there. So he was trying to like find other things to do and other jobs, but nothing was really working out. I know you're probably wondering, what the actual mother of God does this have to do with you failing at YouTube? I'm telling you, it's all gonna come together. Just trust me, okay? Trust me. I had started to really get into makeup more. I started working at Mac part-time. I was working at a casino and I was doing really well, but I started working at Mac. I just like wanted to teach more, and people would ask me like, oh, why don't you start YouTube? Why don't you do tutorials? And I was like, why don't I start YouTube and do tutorials? So I started to talk to Ben about that, and I was like, listen, I think I really want to start doing YouTube. What do you think about that? And he was like, oh my God, you totally should. You're so good. You're so talented. You should do it. I started saving up my money and I started buying little things here and there to get on track to start my YouTube channel. Now, Ben, he was home a lot. Like I said, he was kind of depressed, like really going through it, and he had told me that he really wanted a PlayStation for Christmas. I knew that it was coming out, but there was like a pre-order for this bundle, and me being just like, you know, the amazing girlfriend that I was at the time, I pre-ordered the bundle. It was like $1,000. I just didn't want him to have to like wait outside, you know, be like one of those like campers. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Live your life, do whatever makes you happy. But I just wanted to make sure that he had it as soon as it came out. I just wanted to do something nice for him. Stupid. the PlayStation comes. He was so excited. He got this game, some of you may have heard of it before. It's called Call of Duty. He really liked this game, people. Like, he loved this game. It kind of became like his whole freaking world. It went from him just playing like a couple hours a day to like 4 or 5 hours a day to like 8 hours a day. And I kid you not, I'm pretty sure that like one time he played for like 16 hours straight. This would have been like fine, right? I wouldn't have cared how many hours a day he played PlayStation. But you see, the issue was that I was waking up every morning to open up MAC Cosmetics. And then I was taking a quick nap. And then I was going to this casino to then work my second job. And I was paying all the bills at the end of the month. And remember when I told you that he was like looking for jobs? Well, that stopped. He wasn't doing it anymore because he was playing PlayStation. Christmas had came, and that was his Christmas present. And I opened my Christmas present, and it was a MacBook Pro. I was so excited because that was like the one thing, the missing piece of the puzzle that I needed to start my YouTube channel. I started filming, and I started editing, and I started uploading to YouTube. I think I uploaded 3 or 4. They're not up right now because they're just so embarrassing. They're so cringy. I might put them up again. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry I'm like obviously not explaining anything that I'm doing in this video. This video wasn't to like teach you how to do makeup. The time will come for that. It really is just like giving me something to do with my hands while I'm talking. Things with Ben and I got progressively worse. I was trying to be nice and trying to be understanding and, you know, not trying to be like the bad guy and the mom and tell him what to do. But it was just frustrating because I was paying for everything and I just was like, you know, you're not even trying to find another job. I kind of had a couple conversations with him like, listen, you know, I don't really think like things are working out. I felt like I was enabling his behavior, and I was like, you know, maybe he just needs to go back home and figure it out. But he didn't leave. I feel like he didn't leave because I feel like wow, how many times can I say it? I believe that he thought that if he stayed, then things would just work themselves out, but they were not. They just kept getting worse and worse. Now, no one really knew about our problems. I wasn't the type of person that would run to everybody and tell them our relationship problems, especially because we worked together. So my friends were his friends, we were all friends, and I didn't want to badmouth him to his friends. And I just felt like I had nobody to really talk to, so I kind of just kept this all to myself. But we were not at a good place at all. Wasn't recording. How did that happen? I don't know where I left off, so I'm just gonna go back a little bit. So basically, he tells me he wants to go to Vegas. And I'm like, go to Vegas. You should totally go to Vegas. You should go to Vegas like now. Go to Vegas. This casino wasn't opening for a little while and he couldn't leave yet. And I was like, okay, so where does that leave us then? Because you want to go to Vegas and I don't want to go to Vegas. So what do we do? You want to know what he said to me? This is what he said to me. He was like, well, why can't we just like stay together until I leave? I was like, why can't we stay together until you leave? Oh, I don't know, maybe because we freaking are miserable, first of all, because I'm miserable because I'm paying for everything while you aren't doing a freaking single thing besides sitting on your butt with your little PlayStation and your freaking headset talking to people in Canada and shit, playing Call of Duty or whatever it's called. I'm not bitter. This leads me to my next little backstory. When we were together, doing well, you know, happy and stuff, I set up best friend Ron with my good friend Regina. Regina texted me and she was like, hey, can I pick you up and let's like get a drink or something? I really need to talk to you. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. When she texted me, I thought that she wanted to meet up with me because she was going to tell me something about her and Ron. I was at home when she had texted me. Ben was in the living room doing what he always did, playing a video game. I looked at him and I was like, hey, Regina wants to talk to me about something. She's gonna pick me up and we're gonna go get a drink. And he was like, what does she want to talk to you about? And I was like, I don't know. Probably her and freaking Ron are fighting. This is when the fun really started. We go to this bar and Regina says to me, do you have Twitter? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, I was on Twitter. I was looking up Ron's Twitter and I saw some things. I was like, oh my God, what did you see? What has he done? She was like, no girl, Ron didn't do anything. It was Ben that did the things. So I go on Twitter, I see the tweets. Ben had been tweeting his ex-girlfriend, like subliminal messages, really just, you know, inappropriate things on the Twitter. Here's my issue with all of this. Ben was living under a roof with me. Ben was coming home to our apartment every single night while I paid for everything for months, not just like a little bit of time, probably close to a year at this point. Ben could have moved home with his parents. He just didn't want to because he didn't want to go back to his parents' basement. Understandable. But what you are not going to do is live under a roof with me, going behind my back, letting me pay for everything for you, and then be tweeting your ex-girlfriend inappropriate shit. If you would like to talk to your ex-girlfriend, if you would like to tweet your ex-girlfriend inappropriate shit, if you would like to date your ex-girlfriend again, if you would like to date, marry, do sex, whatever you want to do with your ex-girlfriend, you are allowed to do that. That is your God-given right on this planet. But get the fuck out. And then you're making me look like an actual freaking idiot to all of our friends, our coworkers, that I have to see 5 days a week, that I see more than my family, that I see more than anybody. Because I'm keeping our business between us, and I'm not telling anyone. Well, now I'm telling everyone. I was keeping our business between us, and people were trying to look out for me because they didn't want to see me look stupid. But you're making me look stupid to everybody. So he texted me when I was at the bar. I ignored him. I didn't answer a single freaking word because I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna lose my shit. I'm not gonna freak out. I'm not gonna do anything rational or irrational. I'm not gonna do anything rash. I'm just gonna chill. Now he's like having a conversation with himself. You know what he said to me though? He was like, you know what? You're gonna ignore me? I'm moving out. I was like, oh, thank you. That's all it took? Is that all it took? The next part of the story is actually kind of a shame because Regina and I, we are no longer friends. That semi has to do with the fact that I moved away and I, lost touch. But I would say about 80% of the reason why we stopped being friends was because of this part of my story. I said to Regina, I was like, listen, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna pack an overnight bag, I'm not gonna say a freaking word to him, I just wanna go in, get my stuff. Do you think that I could stay at your place tonight? She was like, yeah, sure, but what are you gonna do about him? I was like, well, I'll confront him about it, but right now it's just not the right timing. And she was like, wait, how are you gonna confront him? I was like, what do you mean? I'll just tell him, like, you show me his Twitter and I'm pissed. And she was like, wait, you're gonna tell him I showed you his Twitter? I was like, yeah, well, how else would I explain that? Like, I don't go on Twitter. How else would I explain seeing his Twitter? And she was like, oh, you can't tell him I told you. I was like, girl, he's gonna know. What do you mean? You called me and you asked to meet up with me. He's gonna know that you are the one that told me. He's gonna know. She was like, oh no, you cannot tell him because Ron is gonna find out that I was looking at his Twitter. I was like, okay, and she's like, well, Ron told me that I need to stop acting crazy. And Ron told me if I act crazy one more time, that's it. And I was like, and? Okay, so you were acting crazy. Like, who cares? Tell him to relax. And she was like, no, you don't understand. This is gonna blow up in my face. I was like, bitch, first of all, you were just so concerned about me an hour ago that you wanted to call me and tell me that you needed to talk to me and tell me some stuff. You were so concerned, so concerned. And then I finally met up with you and you tell me all this shit and then you're like, I don't want to be involved. Then guess what? You shouldn't involve yourself. I'm just annoyed at everybody at this point. I'm like, let's go. I want to go. So I go home, I walk in the door. Ben is packing his belongings. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I go into my bedroom and I start packing a bag. Trust me when I tell you, I was dead silent. I know me, and when I'm angry, that is the best policy. I'm not speaking because you don't want me to speak. So I was like, I'm not saying a freaking word. So I walked in, packed my stuff, and he's like, you're not gonna say anything? And I'm like, I swear to God, I had all the best intentions. Wasn't gonna say anything. But when he was packing his stuff, he was loading it onto this bell cart. And as I'm walking by, you know what I see on the frickin' bell cart? My frickin' MacBook. And I looked at him and I said, what are you doing with that? He said, oh, this MacBook? I bought that. That's mine. So I was like, oh, okay. Copy. What I did next, I cannot apologize for. I blacked out, people, okay? I blacked out. I was so angry. I just like could not believe that he said that. Like after everything I did for this little bitch. Now I know what you're thinking, like get to the freaking point. What did you do? Well, I'll tell you what I did. I, oh so silently, walked over to the wall. I ripped the PlayStation out of the wall. I silently walked the PlayStation over to our 3-story balcony. And I lifted the PlayStation over my head and I chucked it. And I watched it crumble into 1,000 little pieces onto the asphalt. Best moment of my life. Now, what happens next is tragic. Ben then walked over to the bell cart and he took my MacBook. And he too walked it over to our 3-story balcony and he picked it up over his head and he chucked it off and watched it smash into 1,000 pieces of the asphalt. Yeah. And that's why I failed at YouTube. Obviously I'm kidding. That isn't why I failed at YouTube. There's a million other reasons why I'm a failure. I'm not done with my story just yet. I don't like to tell stories without purpose, you know? I have morals to the story. I have, you know, lessons to my story. I have a whole bunch of fun stuff that I would like to touch on. First, let's touch on my obvious sarcasm. I failed at YouTube because I'm a freaking idiot and I gave up. Second, I want to touch on Regina. I feel like a lesson can be learned starting with the fact that if you don't want to get involved in something, here's a very simple solution. Don't get involved. If you do involve yourself in something, then you need to own it and you need to take ownership of your words. You need to take ownership of your actions. If something comes out of your mouth, you need to own it. And if you're not comfortable with that, then those things should never leave your mouth. Do not write a book if you do not want your name listed as the author. That is my philosophical quote of the day, and yes, I made that up myself. I truly mean that. If you are not comfortable with your name being attached to something in all seriousness, then don't say it. If you are the kind of guy who wants to talk to their ex-girlfriend, don't be living with like your current ex-girlfriend, you know? I'm just gonna do my mascara and lashes really quick because I feel like I can't talk when I'm doing this. Just own your shit. And sometimes we make mistakes and sometimes we act crazy and sometimes we throw PlayStations off of balconies. And you have to take responsibility for your actions. And there are always repercussions to those actions, like my MacBook being thrown off the balcony. I will say that I wish I would have started sooner, and I guess all that doesn't matter now because I'm here and I want to start filming again, and I want to start uploading again, and I know this video wasn't like the best, and I know that I'm only going to get better with practice. I want to grow, and I want to grow hopefully with you guys. So That being said, I hope that you subscribe to my channel. I hope that if you liked this video, then you like the video. I'm supposed to also tell you to turn on the notification bell so you can get notified for when I upload a video. And speaking of uploading another video, I really wish my story ended with that. Oh, do I wish my story ended with that. But no, it does not. It does not end with that. I hope that you stay tuned, because in my next video, I will be telling you guys how I moved to Vegas with Ben. God, I'm so stupid. See you in my next video. Bye.